Uptown Link Up. Yes, sir. Hello? Is this Uptown Link Up?
Yes, it is.
Oh, best program ever.
Welcome to another episode of the Uptown Link Up Show. Now today we'll be speaking to a very important person to our community and to Jamaica too as well. And so we know she's a bit of a subtle character, a bit of an introvert to us. And so, we actually want to explore a couple of things to kind of enlighten the rest of the public about who she is, why she do the things she does, and how she do the things she does too as well. It's very important. And so we're going to get into that. Before we get into that, just wanted to know that we are philanthropists, and so we normally get into pocket to do these interviews, and we are now accepting donations. So we'll put our PayPal information on screen, and we're using that as our primary portal. And so we hope that that is okay with you. We will also put the information for other portals in our description of the video. As we go through, we hope that everyone is having a good time, because we're going to sit down with a very special person, very important person today. She's the first female member of parliament for St. Andrew Eastern. Now, when we heard that, firstly, it was a bit puzzling, but we'll clear that up as we go through. First female minister of science, energy and technology, former minister without portfolio in finance and the public service, former member of the JLP Economic Advisory Council, former secretary of the Central Executive Committee, minister of education, youth and information. And just to let you know that there's a party going on next door, and so we apologize for the ambient noise that you might hear in this interview. So we're going to try to see if we can get you a good audio so you can listen through all this period of the interview.
H.R.S. Records, one of the best production house out of California, presents Robert Sutherland with 3 big songs like Pona Kali, Never Give Up, and Another Youth Rise. A gift from Jamaica to the world. H.R.S. Records. Get your copy today. Available on all digital platforms.
Give me some Monday, give me a pound of the collie. Hey. Them destroy the weed, them bring in the coke, what a folly. Hey.
It's the Honourable Fayval Williams.
Yep.
Welcome to the Uptown.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and I'd love to give a shout out to all of your viewers.
Thank you very much. So today we're gonna get a little bit personal. I hope you don't mind.
Let's see what the questions are.
Okay. So you're a Jamaican, yes?
I'm a Jamaican. I was born in St. Catherine, in a little community called Ty Dixon.
Ty Dixon.
In St. Catherine, the mountains.
Wow. Ty Dixon. Tell us a little bit about your siblings.
Well, I am number 7 of 9 children, and I have 3 brothers.
Yes.
And 5 sisters.
You was in the Adventist
Well, I
church.
grew up in the Seventh-day Baptist Church, which is a Sabbath-keeping church.
Yes.
I did attend Seventh-day Adventist as well, especially when I was living with relatives in the United States. And there, Seventh-day Baptist was not as everywhere as the Seventh-day Adventist is. And since they observe Sabbath, we just went to the Adventist church as well. Yeah, yes. There are differences in terms of, well, I know for the Seventh-day Adventists, they do revere the teachings of Sister Ellen G. White, whereas that is not so much in the Seventh-day Baptist. It's not at all in the Seventh-day Baptist. religion.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, okay, tell us a little bit about your immediate family, your family.
Okay, so I'm married,
Yes.
and we have 2 children, 2 girls.
Mm-hmm.
They're grown up now on their own,
Yes.
and so just my husband and I are at home.
We got to understand that you started out professionally, working professionally with the Nova Scotia Bank. How did you land at that job?
Oh, that was right after high school, and I went to high school at Froncourt High School.
Mm-hmm.
And in that time, you leave high school at 5th form,
Mm-hmm.
or if you choose to, like now, go on to 6th form to do what was then A levels. So at 5th form, we do O levels. At 6th form, we did A levels. So I left after taking O levels and interviewed for and landed a job at the Bank of Nova Scotia, where I worked for about 3 years. And then I had to join family in the United States.
Wow. And so your schooling in the United States continue.
I went to Harvard University, actually, and graduated with an undergraduate degree in economics. Worked for about 3 years with Morgan Stanley, which is a top investment company in the United States. And then I went to Wharton, that's a business school, and that was where I focused on finance.
In finance.
Mm-hmm.
And after Wharton, then you came back to Jamaica.
Not immediately. I met my husband at the Wharton Business School as well.
A little bit of romance.
Yeah,
Yes.
we got married and moved out to the Midwest, which Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
Had our first child there. He was working for a company there at the time, and so I went to join him. And one thing led to another. We came back to the East Coast of the U.S., worked for other companies, and as it goes in life, I think he came to Jamaica and made contact with business people here, and he decided that he wanted to relocate, and the rest, they say, is history, because we all relocated to Jamaica, husband and wife and 2 children, and it was here during that time that I got involved in the politics of the Jamaica Labour Party.
So, your education in the United States actually prepared you. Was that intentional for politics?
No, I wouldn't say it was intentional at all. I was on a business trajectory, primarily finance, and even when I came to Jamaica, before politics, we started a company that focused on real estate development, real estate acquisition, and so on. So I was still in the business world before transitioning into politics.
So when you came back from the United States, what prompted you to get into
politics? For politics? What I remember of how things developed was that I became quite active in my community association, and then to the point where I was the president of the association. And it was during that time that I met the then Member of Parliament, St. Aubin Bartlett. And, I used to host community meetings and invite the councillor at the time. And I got to know him, and I began to learn about the Jamaica Labour Party. And he invited me to meetings, and I became a part of his team then. And, I began to just go further and further into the politics.
So it was a coincidence how you get
I wouldn't say a coincidence, because obviously one thing built on top of the other. So becoming active in a community association allowed me to come in contact with him, because he wanted, to meet community members, and that interaction allowed for there to be these deeper conversations about politics.
And so you get into, tell us a little bit about your transition from community to
the real politics, right? So you will recall that this was in 2016 when I entered. Prior to that, I'm thinking back, there was another party in power, right?
Yes, okay.
The PNP was in power at the time, right, prior to 2016.
Yes.
So when I came back, they were in power and they won again. And then the JLP won, and then they won again. So I got a chance to see a transition between the parties, and to listen to the rhetoric and to understand their philosophy, where they're coming from, their style, what kind of leadership they provided for the country. And suffice it to say, I thought and still think the Jamaica Labour Party is the best party for governance of the country, and for development of the country.
Yes, I assume that you at Morgan Stanley, your time spent there actually was a good preparation for what you're doing now in politics here in Jamaica. Tell us a little bit more about Morgan Stanley.
Okay. Well, Morgan Stanley is an investment company, a global investment company.
Yes.
And I did a number of different things there, not just finance. I also did technology there. In the early days of technology, we were there because they were at the forefront, the cutting edge, the leading edge of technology. So, for instance, and I'm going to date myself, I remember when some company rolled out the spreadsheet.
Yes.
And that was the greatest thing that ever happened to the world at that time. So I got great experience understanding the evolution of technology, working in a data center, working with people to develop products and reports for them to use. And that experience has served me well.
Yes.
Because if you recall, I went to the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology, and then now in the Ministry of Education and Youth, we're pushing technology, and I feel comfortable with technology about, ensuring that our children are not left behind in understanding using technology, using it the proper way, not just for social media, but learning how to code, how to give the computer instructions so it can carry out different tasks and all that. So I'm very comfortable in that space, and it was because of that experience that I had at Morgan Stanley in those early days of technology. Yeah.
But Morgan Stanley is, based on what I have seen and my research, it's not just an investment bank, but it also have a wide range of things that it does. Could you just tell us a little bit more about
well, primarily an investment bank for a large number of clients globally. It has offices all around the world. They're one of the top mutual fund companies.
Morgan Stanley.
Yes, they
we
are.
Advise, we organize, we trade, manage, and distribute. Distribute capital for people, government, and institutions.
Right, and that's all financial investments. Financial, it's all finance.
All finance.
Yeah.
When people's ear.
So they trade.
Yes.
Right. They trade securities, both equity securities, debt securities. They provide advice to rich clients, people with lots of money. Right. It's all in the financial field.
Do you think there's a more comfortable ministry that you could occupy at this time than education?
I like education.
Yes.
When the Prime Minister selected me to go there, I was awed by it because the education ministry is so large. You know, and it's such an important ministry that I felt humbled to go there. But since I've been there going on 3 years now, it's been a joy to understand that it is what's needed to take us forward as a country. Because when people are educated formally, and I am a big believer in formal education, it helps in terms of not only their quality of life, but the quality of the economy that we have in this country, the quality of our social life as a nation. Because you have people who can reason more robustly. People who are not as emotional, they're more rational people. I might be getting myself into trouble. But that's, you know, we'd love all Jamaicans as we go along to have formal education. Yes, I know you learn informally, and that is good as well, but it's not as rigorous as the formal system. And we'd love Jamaicans to really embrace education. It appears we do, but when you look at the numbers, on any given day in Jamaica, a lot of children are absent from school. And that hampers them. It hampers the results, the outcome of the system. And we always encourage parents. Sometimes I know it's difficult to find that lunch money or to find the bus fare, but we have to make the sacrifice, because a child not going to school 1 or 2 days a week, they lose a lot in terms of, you know, what happens in the classroom and so on.
What's the hardest thing about this ministry for you?
The hardest thing for me is when I go to individual schools and I understand how much further along the school could be, but it requires just a concentration from the board all the way down to really get the school going, and I don't see that in that particular school. It really is frustrating, and I know time is going by, children are aging, they're moving on to a new grade, and there is so much that could be done to get them on that path where they're just singing and embracing education.
What comes to mind based on the powers that you have to do and what capabilities you have to do such?
Well, immediately I begin to think of the different layers that are in the system and the different responsibilities that people have at all levels of the system. And to the extent that there is any one level that's not pulling their weight, it really drags down everything else. And I go back to the office and I talk to the permanent secretary and say, let's see if we can't tighten up this, let's see if we can't retrain, let's see if we can't provide this, you know, just to get things going. So, for example, I'm big on improving the infrastructure of the schools, because I say to myself, when I see some of these schools that are not up to par, one, this is the workplace of the teachers, the administrators, right? They should feel very comfortable walking into that environment. How would I feel, walking into some place that's not air conditioned, but I have to be in there all day and it's hot and so on. So I'm big on improving the infrastructure of our schools to ensure that the teachers, the students are comfortable in there. And so you will see a lot of posts about us breaking ground for new classrooms, getting equipment into schools, ensuring their proper electrical wiring. We're thinking now about cooling for schools just because of temperature rising and things getting hotter. So my brain, my mind is always going to see how can we continue to improve, upgrade, provide for our schools so that our children have the best opportunity to learn and to be their best.
It was very easy to check my pressure here at the Hermitage Internet Cafe. I would encourage others to come and also have their blood pressure checked, because it's very important. And I certainly will be coming back again to have my pressure checked right here at the Hermitage Internet Cafe.
Let's say you get, which I know that you will, you get 2 more terms in the same ministry. How far reaching with your
wow, I'd love that. I'd love that. I don't know for sure. Because what needs to be done will take time.
Yes.
Despite how much we've done already, there's still so much more to go. There are 1,010 schools in Jamaica, primary and secondary.
Yes.
Right. There's a whole lot that can be done to help motivate students, teachers, parents.
Yes.
Parents. There's such a key stakeholder, and I don't think a lot of parents fully grasp how important they are in their child's life and encourage their children to learn, to wake up and go to school religiously, to come back home and,
Tell me what you think your model parent would be.
Model parent, yes. So the model parent would be someone who wakes up in the morning and gently encourage their children to wake up and get ready for school. And I say gently because I know that in a lot of households across Jamaica, how it happens is, boy, wake up yet, get up, go to school, get out of the bed.
Roggy
and yes. Whereas,
maybe too slap to get out of bed too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just gently make sure they have some breakfast before they leave. You're concerned about their travel to school and you're ensuring they get there safely. And you're in touch with the teacher. You know exactly the subject area that's being taught in school, and you're interested in the schoolwork that they get, and that's the model.
Or you want to believe that the fundamental of the child's education should start at home?
It does, whether I believe it or not. It does. It starts at home. Parents are the first teachers.
And so when they go out in the world, into school, they build on that foundation. That
Absolutely, absolutely. In Jamaica now, based on our laws, by the time a child gets to 3+, they should be in school, right? In the early childhood institution. We have been encouraging our parents to even put their children into an environment, a learning environment earlier. So we have across Jamaica, I think, over 100 what we call the brain builder centers, and that's for children up to 3 years old. So they get some stimulation during those early days, and then when they transition into the early childhood institutions, they've been in an environment where they're learning to share, they're learning to say thank you, they're learning to sit at the table and eat, and all those things they're learning
learn
in
about
that
themselves
environment.
a little bit more, how to
Rather than being at home where the parent, usually the mother, they have a whole host of other duties that they have to do at home, so the child is off to the side playing, watching TV, and not really in a structured environment.
And sometimes learning adults' affairs.
Exactly.
Yes. But you came into politics 2016.
Right.
And that's when we...
My first foray into the politics.
What was it like? What was it like taking over from Sophia Longmore and in a constituency like this? What was that for you?
Well,
you're a humble soul.
Well, it was an eye-opening experience.
And knowing that she lost.
Right, I know it's coming in.
Talk to me about how you felt coming in.
Well, when I came into St. Andrew Eastern, it did not have a caretaker MP.
Yes.
It was empty. I mean, wide open.
Was it St. Andrew Eastern or was something
St.
else?
Andrew Eastern.
Rural something?
No, it was St. Andrew Eastern. St. Andrew Eastern. So there was a member of parliament, a PNP member of parliament, but there was no JLP caretaker MP, right? So of course, the Labourites were anxious to get somebody in the seat, because you know that if you're not present in the seat, things can happen, meaning, people forget. They need to be reminded about the party and so on. So I didn't have any competition, if you will. I didn't have any resistance. People were happy to see someone coming in representing the JLP into that space. And I pretty much learned by doing, by coming in and allowing the organization that existed, the workers and supervisors and so on, to teach me the politics, teach me the underground politics. It was a lot of learning about the people, how they relate to each other, how they relate to me. And one of the things I learned early on, very early on, was just listen. Just listen. So if you see me being reserved, it's because I recognize that people want to talk. They want to tell you their story. They don't necessarily want to hear my story. Right? They want me to hear their story. And so I do a lot of that. I listen and I find, I personally find that to be very helpful, because it's in listening that you really truly can understand what that other person is saying, where they're coming from, what it is that they're really talking about, right? Because they will kind of come around, and then you go, oh, okay, all right, that's the crux of the matter here, and deal with it. So, plus, during my lifetime, I took a lot of courses in interpersonal relationships, learning about people and so on. And so it's not hard for me to listen to somebody who is very angry without getting
Were
angry.
you surprised at your first your victory at your first go bam?
If I say no, it might sound, self-serving.
Yes.
But I wasn't, because I understood clearly the distinction between me and my opponent.
Yes.
Yeah. What people liked and what they didn't like. And it allowed me to kind of zero in on those things that people found acceptable in a politician. I mean, the kind of image that Jamaicans have of politicians is that they're loud and they're
liars.
Whatever they do. And it's like, okay, I'm so far from that image.
Yes.
I think I'll sit here with you and I will listen to what you have to say. If I can help you, I will. Sometimes it takes a lot longer than the person wants, because they want the thing now. But I try to do my best, and I think people recognize that. They recognize that I don't go around just creating promises. Yes, have I fulfilled everything that I've committed to? No, I haven't. But I keep a running tally. And I'll double back and say, whoa, that thing we talked about a year ago, it just come true,
Yeah.
and people appreciate that. And another thing that I really, really focus on doing, finding out if people are working or not, and try to help them connect with positions that exist in the world, because that's what I find out, that persons, let's say people in Hermitage, they may not necessarily know how to connect with jobs that exist. It's because it seems so far away from them. They feel that they may be embarrassed if they go, you know what I mean? And so I try to be that intermediary for them, and to show them there's a lot more that I could do in the community. But then when you look at my time, the ministry takes up a big chunk of the time, and some of the things I want to do in the communities, I haven't been able to do it.
You came in. I think your first assignment in the party was in the Central Executive Committee.
To be the secretary. But for me, that was like, of course, I will do that work. Because you get to be inside, you get to hear, you get to,
you get
you're
to
there.
learn a little bit more about politics.
Absolutely, and about the people who
Yes.
make it happen. So it's like you have a front row seat. So I was thrilled to be taking minutes and doing admin. So
You are new to the party, you're new to politics, so this was a very satisfying position.
yeah, to be
at the time
in. Yeah.
when you came
You're
in.
like a fly on the wall.
Yes. Okay, you came in, you won your first election. Were you satisfied with the first term?
Yes, if I think back to 2016 and the years between 2016 2020, in the constituency, yes, from the first go, boom, right out the chute. It was infrastructure work that we did in communities that were languishing for years. So, for example, in Backbush, like all the roads were done. We were able to put in water infrastructure in Backbush. People who never had water in their yard, they had to go to a standpipe.
Yes.
And they put water, they put a pipe in them yard.
In them yard.
Yes. That was gratifying.
Yes.
Fixing up the community center, putting computers into it so that you could have some training sessions. That was exhilarating as well. And I can point to different things I've done in different communities.
Yes.
Saying I you know.
It wasn't only Backbush that you
No,
you did
Hermitage
this with
as
water.
well. Not the water, but roads. Even though now, you know, it needs repairing again. All the roads need repairing again. But
We get to understand that you not only serve your people who voted for you, you actually stretch across and serve the opponents,
everybody,
the
yes.
opponents people. Tell us
'cause
about
I'm
your
the member.
thinking.
I'm the member
Yes,
of Parliament
yes,
for everybody in the
Yes.
constituency.
very well.
And my thinking is, if I don't help you, even though you voted
For somebody else.
somebody else,
Yes,
if I don't help you, what reason will you have?
to vote for you. So, is this a policy of the party, or are you brought that in and caused the party to start thinking like that?
This is my thinking.
Because we
my
understand
thinking.
that since you start thinking and start doing these things, we have seen where other members of Parliament took on that same responsibility. Do you see that as true?
Well, I don't know if they took it from me or it's their own thought.
Yes.
But I believe once you win, you are the member of Parliament for the entire constituency, and
so
you should try to bring as much as you can to help the people, regardless of what party they're in, to help them. People need help in Jamaica.
What's the feedback from these persons who didn't vote for you? What's the feedback to you when they have seen that you have put out 100% for them when they didn't vote for you?
Well, what I have found is that across the constituency, there's less animosity, right? So people, they don't mind seeing me.
Yes.
They don't mind talking to me. Because at the end of the day, they know that I'm an MP who is not partial to one side or the other with the government's resources, because we're all taxpayers, we all pay taxes, and everybody deserves benefits from the government.
I must tell you that based on what I've seen, that you become a breath of fresh air for the constituency when you do that, because now it enable the oppositionists to not being so rugged in their thinking about the opponent, and so they harness their ability now to listen and communicate,
Right.
and it in return that lessen the violence and
Absolutely.
and that's a wonderful.
Right. This is subtle, but I practice not wearing my color, my green color, unless it's like now election.
I've seen and I heard feedback from persons once you came in with your hair in the opponent's color. What motivated you to do that?
I don't know. I try a different color in my hair, so if it came out looking orange or red, it's not a big deal. It's temporary.
Okay, second term. Are you satisfied now with your second term?
Reflecting, looking back, remember for the second term we started in COVID.
Yes.
So during that period, we were not in the constituencies as much as we were when there was COVID, and because of that, I think we lost a little bit in turn. Right. So then when we came out of COVID, we had to run to make that up. So, I'm hearing people say, Mr. Williams, I haven't seen you for a long time. And you realize, I haven't been here since, whenever. So I have to be doubling my steps now and trying to cover ground that we didn't cover during COVID. So if there's one thing, it's just the hiatus in terms of not being able to be actively in the communities.
I see you really rally around communities. You try to unify in some ways all the time, and that's a beautiful thing, And you told us that it's because of your interrelational skills.
Yes, and no, seriously, like communities are a building block, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have families, which is the smallest unit that you can find, right? I mean, there's the individual and then the family of the individual.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's communities of families. And within those communities, that's where you learn how to be a human being, how to relate to other people. I find that as Jamaicans, there's just a lot of violence, there's a lot of lewd talking, there's cussing and carrying on, and you want people to just pause and not be as emotional as they are, just learn to be empathetic, put yourself in the other person's shoe, learn to think long-term, meaning, when I say long-term, if you're in a relationship, let's say over 5 years, it's a great relationship, but at some point, you or the other person is going to do something that annoys the other person. Do you blow up in that instance? Do you cuss off the person in that instance? Or you think back over the years and say, this might be just a situation that we need to talk through. And I find that people tend to lose that perspective that they should bring to the situation. You know what I mean?
Yes. Persons need to reflect on the whole
period. Right,
not just the incident that happens. Okay, I know you're not a social environmentalist, but
I'm very conscious of
you're
my
very
environment.
conscious of your environment.
Very conscious. I love cleanliness, I love order.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so a community, what structure, how do you see a complete community? What are the structures that needs to be in a community?
Thank you for that
it to
question.
be
Thank you, because I've thought about it.
Yes.
And thought about why is it that there are some communities that are captured by strongmen and others that are not. Within a community, there needs to be some leadership structure, right? So community, neighborhood watches, community organizations where people can get together to talk about their common interests in the community, to learn about the other person, hear about what's happening to the other person, to see how best they can help. That is what you need to see in a community. There has to be some leadership of some sorts in the community. Yes, even in those very rich communities where people can live independently and they don't have to worry about other people. If you study, they do have some kind of a. There's some person in that community, I guarantee you, that people gravitate towards and see as a leader. And you see the same structure in, let me call them, inner city communities, with one exception. The person who leads often does so with violence. Just heavy duty violence. And that I could never ever stand for that.
at Country's Internet Cafe, you always have the fastest computers around here. Country always have the latest application softwares. You see, I'm here using a Toshiba laptop doing my schoolwork. I'm being assisted with my SBA, and Country is right beside me, helping me and such. If you come on Country's Internet Cafe, if you're even short of some sums of money, he will assist you. He won't let you down as long as you're doing your schoolwork. He also supplies you with the internet, where you can even go on Skype or Facebook and idle off if you feel like. But mainly, you recommend all students to do their schoolwork first.
It's a touching topic, you know, when it comes to violence in communities. But structure could represent infrastructure that community needs to, you know, to be on par for citizens to, you know, feel good about themselves, that they're living somewhere.
If you look at other countries that are richer than us, they create cities, they create communities, and they build them with police stations, schools, hospitals, even maybe 2 or 3 communities may share the same hospital, post office, shopping center. I think we're getting into that mode now as the Prime Minister moves ahead. We've been hearing him talk about developing new cities and bringing all those services there into the city, versus how we've traditionally done it, where either just individual person just find a piece of land and they put down some block and blah blah blah, and then you go back 10 years later and it's a community that's unstructured in how in
so
its
you
development.
Think that we should have a model in every community that the country adhere to.
Right, that says, okay, we're going to put a community over here, houses, but it's going to have a shopping center, it's going to have all these amenities. It might not be able to do it all at once, but the plan is there that says, okay, over here it's for shopping, over here is recreation, over here is a school, over there, you know what I mean?
Yes. How do you think about the inclusion of Afrocentric beliefs in our educational system?
I think we do right now. We recently reintroduced Garveyism in school to teach about Marcus Garvey, you know, to teach about our history, and you know, we're a people of resilience, of strength and independence, and we're hardworking and so on. So we're using that to help our children to understand who they are and from where they came. Or if you look back at our history, it's one that's just full of violence. We were just yanked away from our early beginnings and put on a ship and sailed across the ocean.
The progress that we showed and shared is sometimes derived from the violence that we
I know, seriously, that it's we're still kind of in that mode. We're you know, that slavery mentality, and we think slave masters, we're kind of still in that mode. We haven't outgrown it.
Garveyism in school, yes, I learned Garvey. I learned a little bit about Marcus Garvey in school. So what these kids will be learning now is a little bit more in depth. And so when I said Afrocentric, I'm thinking about what had happened on the continent, that includes the savior of our people, or the deliverance of our people, and these stalwarts that have played great roles, like Marcus Garvey too, you know. So we have a couple of names that are out there now, and we would like for those to be included in our
the curriculum. Well, I know we have a unit at the ministry that takes anybody who sends us a book. It's assessed. We have to assess it because we can't allow. And right, because we've seen we've had a couple of near misses where things get into the school that was not age appropriate and so on. So we have to be careful. But we want to teach our children about their roots, who they are, that they have an equal place in the world. Nobody's better than us because of the color of their skin, and so on. It's amazing. I watched the premiere of the Bob Marley movie, and it was quite enlightening. To listen to the lyrics of some of the songs and recognize the message.
You recognize what was happening in that time.
Right, in that time. I think we are in a better time, but we still have a ways to go. Because ever so often I see subtle hints of racism and classism in Jamaica that we'd love to erase from our society.
That's going to be a hard one. Going to be a hard one. Let me ask you, the other day we get to understand that the senior persons in our community, they have the community a certain way, and they kept it like that for a number of years. And for the last 10-15 years we were called Augustown. I want to ask you, for you, not for anyone else, do you see any benefit in that for our community?
Or being called Augustown? I know that Mr. Mason has been really vocal about ensuring that communities have their own identity, and I don't have a problem with that at all. And it was only recently, as I was paging through some of the messages and looking at the maps that he's posted, I was thinking to myself, this is something I really should take on as a member of parliament, to really bring resolution to it, because it seems, as he's pointing out, you have the maps, you have the records. Why was it collapsed into one? So I don't have an issue with communities wanting to have their identity, their boundaries, and so forth. It's as long as you don't have separatism, if that's a good word, meaning people should still be able to move across communities without feeling, oh, you live over there, so you can't come over here. It shouldn't be that. So whatever the character is that this community has developed versus that one over there should still be a good flow of people moving through seamlessly, while at the same time allowing each community to maintain whatever identity it is that they feel they can maintain. And we see it in other communities, could I say, the upscale communities, they have their own identity. People move among them and through them, and it's good. I don't want our other communities to get to the point where they go, oh, this is my boundary. And so.
It's not the difference of the community that causes violence, because we had really great time, amalgamating with Augustown in the past. Most of us born in Augustown and live in Hermitage, and we have wives and girlfriends that come from Augustown, and we go there to live up. Most of us went to Augustown school, so we always have that interlink between communities. We had in the past, we have Silverhawk, that was a phenomenon in in Jamaica, and it came from Augustown, and we all supported that. And we had Team Force from Hermitage, and we also, the Augustown people all supported Team Force when we go. So there wasn't a problem with us mixing and mingling before the name change came up. So that was something I wanted to really.
But like I said, I made a mental commitment to just delve into seeing why did that happen, and how can we kind of go back to what the community was.
Well, for the record, I am an Augustonian, right? I was born at One River Road, right?
All right.
Yes. Can you just look at the camera and speak to the separate communities in your constituency? Tell them what you're looking for the next term.
Each community?
Yeah.
I have a lot of communities. Yes. So, if I start with Jarrett Lane, Saunders, because that's the furthest point in the community, their greatest need there is housing and road construction. They also need some help in terms of their ball field and other recreational facilities. I would like to be able to make an appreciable difference in that. If we move over to Backbush or Hampstead Park, similarly, I see people struggling, wanting better living condition. They want regularized electricity in their communities. They want better street lighting. They want to ensure that they have jobs that they can manage themselves and their families. That's one of the largest communities, and it's the base of the Jamaica Labour Party. So I'd love to continue the work that we've been doing there. If we move up to Mountain Terrace, it's a little community nestled between Hampstead Park and Top Range. Similarly for them, it's a nice community. Continual beautification of the community, and to ensure that their roads, street lights and so on are good, and to visit them, to be at their community meetings and so on. So if we move over to Top Range, another community, a strong JLP community, there's also a need there to help persons with their homes. Less so, when you walk into it, it's a well-structured, well-laid out community with pretty good infrastructure. Continual need again for the road rehabilitation, ensure persons have regularized light and water and job opportunities. The communities of, say, Long Mountain, Beverly Hills, Mona Heights, Pines of Karachi, Wellington, Blue Castle, Hope Pastures, and some other little communities in between. Their main concerns are safety and security.
Yes.
So they want to be safe when they're on the road, whether walking or driving, when they stop at the intersection. So they need cameras at major intersections. They need cameras on the street. They want to see that their streets that don't have potholes, and they like the idea of having sleeping policemen in their communities, because there's a lot of cutting through, by other people who are always in a hurry. And
taxi drivers.
Right. For Hope Pastures, we have this burning issue of the noise nuisance from the events at the gardens, the Hope Gardens, and that's a big issue for them that I would love to solve. And it's going to take a bigger intervention from government in terms of more budget for the operations of the gardens, so that the persons who manage the gardens now, the entity that manages the gardens, does not have to look outside for events in order to have money. So that's how you solve that problem. And I would love to solve that during my time at the Wicked. So if we move over now from those communities into Hermitage, Goldsmith Villa, Augustown, African Gardens, Ellison Flats, Tavern, the Olive Tavern, Gordontown Road, Highlight View, Land Lease. What stares you in the face is just a need for kind of massive infrastructure build, proper housing, proper streets. There are lots of little lanes, still lots of zinc fence. And I would love, and I've started doing it already, taking down the zinc fence, replacing them with concrete walls that you can paint and so on. If you go into Churchyard and look at it, it's been transformed, right? And I'd love to continue to do that all across the communities, because it gives the communities just a better look and feel. People feel better waking up into them and coming home at nights, you know. And so I want to continue to do that, to transform the physical look and feel of communities, because I know how it feels when I go into my community from work. I feel happy. There's never a day that I drive into my community that I'm not going,
I'm safe.
Right, and I'd love for that to be the experience.
And the safety
in all the communities in St. Andrew Eastern, the safety and security and the infrastructure, and for there to be community activities for the children, whether it's sports and not just football. I have introduced taekwondo in some communities, right?
Yes.
Made sure courts, the courts have been rehabilitated in Jarrett Lane. I mean, they have a brand new court, multi-purpose court there. Standpipe, even more brand new multi-purpose court. In Hampstead Park / Backbush, we put in a good field there. Communities need recreational space, they need green space, and I've been trying to create that in every community.
We have a game that I personally really think that this game will bring pride to the Jamaica whole society on the whole, especially the grassroots people. And if that game could become a sport, it would be an amazing thing.
What's that?
With the pride of the people. It's called Dandy Shandy. We might not elaborate a lot on that right now, but I think this game, it's not yet a sport, but we need to matriculate that into a sport, and I've started the whole program of that, so I would like some assistance to finish that up.
All right.
In closing, I wanna delve a little bit into the politics at hand right now, and we have seen a bit of miracle happening, and the people in our community really think that they should attribute that to you too as well. We have seen where a stalwart from the opposition have joined your party, your constituency, in the name of a rough and tough representative as Venetia Phillips. Talk to us a little bit about that. Elaborate about how that came about, and what are you seeing in the future for Venetia?
Boy, that's I think in terms of the future, I think you have to bring Venetia on
Okay.
and delve into that for her. First off, I just want persons to know that the decision, obviously, Venetia had to make a decision, right?
Yes.
That whatever thought processes she went through, that had to be a personal decision
Yes.
that she would have made, not necessarily influenced by, certainly not by me, not influenced by me at all, because it's such
We
a
want to believe that if there was somebody else in your seat, maybe she wouldn't have, because of the constituency that she would represent.
Okay, I don't know.
Okay.
But the decision to accept her in the party was made at the highest level.
Yes.
All right. I am a team player, right? I am part of the
highest
JLP
level.
team. I'm part of the JLP team.
Yes.
And so, I accepted her with open arms, and I set about speaking with labor rights.
Yes.
To say, come along with me. This is a party decision.
Yes.
This is not Fayval Williams' singular decision.
Yes.
It's a party decision, and if we're members of that party, then let's rally around and let's get the victory.
How
here.
far do you want to go into this party? How far would you
How
like
far?
to? Yes.
When I look back at my journey in this party, I'm really, really thankful, yes, for what I've been able to do in such a short period of time. And if anything, I would love more time to do exactly what I'm doing now. I'd love more time to be at the Ministry of Education and Youth.
Yes.
Just to continue to move the education sector forward, and at the same time I recognize I have constituency duties as well. I'd love to get that to a point where communities are independent, self-sufficient, everybody has a job. They don't have to depend on the member of parliament, and continue to find opportunities for persons. And I can point to the many persons who I've helped, who when I came to this constituency were not working, and they had no thought that they would be
Would you
working.
accept being the first female JLP Prime Minister of Jamaica? Would you accept that if it comes tomorrow?
I don't understand that question. There's no vacancy. There's no vacancy in the leadership of the Jamaica Labour Party.
Thank you, Miss Williams.
There's absolutely
Thank
no
you
vacancy.
for your time on the Uptown Link Up Show.
Thank you so much for
There you
having
have
me.
it. A nice chat with the Honourable Fayval Williams.
Thank you.
On the Uptown Link Up Show.
Uptown Link Up.
Thank you
All
for
right.
the viewers.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
guys.
Yes. There's no vacancy.
Thank you. We're out.
I like Uptown Link Up. Yes, sir. Hello? Is this Uptown Link Up? Yes, it is. Oh,